All right, looks like we're live. I'm here with my frequent sidekick, Artistic Layman,
Hello, everyone.
and I don't know. Arini might be joining us. I don't know. He didn't really respond, so we'll see if he hops in or not. Couple of things I want to talk about this week, but we were just talking about this before. As anyone knows who listens to the show, I have a huge boner for the show Arrow and also the show Flash, but particularly Arrow. I have an Arrow boner from here to Alpha Centauri. In fact, if I met the actor Stephen Amell, who plays Arrow, I would probably scream like a 13-year-old girl, "Oh my God, it's Oliver Queen!" And hopefully, given what we know about Hollywood, he wouldn't rape me. But who knows? Who knows? I don't know. I love that show so much. I might just accept that. Who knows? But seriously, I was looking at some of the. I was looking at some of the like upcoming stuff for this season, and they do a big crossover between all the CW superhero shows. And this year it's going to be because there's a lot of parallel universe stuff running through these shows. In fact, the Supergirl show doesn't even take place in the same universe as Arrow and Flash, and it's crossed over a few times because of parallel universe stuff. Well, there's going to be a episode where they cross over with an Earth called Earth X, which is like a Nazi-run Earth, in which there's Nazi versions of Arrow and Flash and Supergirl in it. In fact, I'll throw Luke a link here. He can put up. There's there in the chat. It's they had some promo art for it if you want to throw that up. But anyways, I'm a big fan of Nazi. I'm a big fan of parallel universe stuff in the first place, but I'm a big fan of Nazi supervillains. Nazi supervillains kick ass. Now, I realize in our corner of the internet that, yeah, World War II and Nazi Germany was not quite the cartoon thing everyone makes it out to be, okay? Nazis in popular culture are the supervillains who fight Indiana Jones and Captain America. That's not exactly what they were. I mean, obviously, Indiana Jones and Captain America don't exist. But I mean, obviously, we have a bit of a cartoonish view of what Nazi Germany was like. That said, though, I've often heard people complain that there's an inherent left-wing bias in the fact that we never show communist supervillains, right? And there is, but there's also a certain bias in just the nature of good storytelling. Communists don't make good villains. Nazis do. Now, again, we're a little, Nazis are obviously exaggerated, but at the same time, communists just inherently don't make good supervillains. Because communists are pathetic. Communism is pathetic. It's the ideology of crabs in a bucket. It's the idea, even if you take the absolute most evil cartoonish villain or vision of Nazi Germany you could possibly take, you still have people that were trying to make a better world and a better humanity. The motives, the methods aside, they were attempting to make a better world. Communism is almost just give up on that and make a shittier world, because that way nobody's better than anyone else. Communism isn't about raising anybody up. And even as I look back, like you put Omega Red up on the screen, and you put the communist bad guy from the old Justice Friends cartoon in Dexter's Lab, and both of those are good examples of, now, I mean, obviously there's not a lot of lore around that one-off villain from the Justice Friends there, but like Omega Red's just a Soviet super soldier. There's nothing really about that character that's, all about the communist ideal. He's just a Russian super soldier. There was a parallel universe story, Superman Red Sun, where the premise was Superman's rocket lands in Soviet Russia and he becomes the communist Superman. And that Elsa Nazi thing is fucking fantastic. But in the Superman Red Son, you know, there's a line where some of the communist leaders are even pointing out that Superman's mere existence sort of pokes at the communist ideal. You know, it just does. Now, the only villain I can think of in popular culture that actually embodies the communist ideal and is threatening, is intimidating, is scary, would be the Borg from Star Trek. That's it. So, you know, you're just inherently going to end up with more Nazi villains than you are communist villains. Whether that's, you know, yeah, the communism is more evil than Nazism. Even if I were to take the absolute, you know, the most pure propaganda you're ever going to see at the most echoing run Holocaust museum in the world, it's still not as evil as communism. Okay, what is it? The 6 million, and then okay, was it another 4 million supposedly, or 2 million that Hitler killed? Whoopee jack shit. All right, round that up to a good solid 10 million. That still pales in comparison to Soviet Russia's 100 million starved or killed. And that's just Soviet Russia. That's just one communist country, you know. So yeah, communism is inherent. Look, I'm neither a communist nor a fascist. But if I had to pick one, I'm sure as hell not picking communism. Communism is perhaps the most evil ideology. I mean, I honestly think when mankind thought of communism, the devil himself stepped back and said, "Wow, even I'm impressed." The other thing that we were talking about is we were kind of talking about how you had mentioned this was on some Daily Show episode where some Jewish author had said that, you know, Jews hate Nazism so much because it's white identity and it's you know, white accomplishment personified and all. But see, I don't really think communism is white identity. I don't think there's no reason white racial identity needs to be tied to a failed ideology from 70 years ago in one particular white country. I just don't think it does. Now, we were kind of chatting about this, Luke and I, and it sort of dawned on me. Like, for the longest time, I just assumed that tying white identity to Nazism was kind of a smear of anti-white types. And I'm not sure smear is quite the appropriate term, because see, I think the reason so many look, and I think my audience is smart enough to know this. I don't need to say it, but I'm going to say it anyways. What I'm about to say is obviously a generalization. Don't talk to me about, you know, a guy that's not like this. Yeah, I know it's a generalization. But by and large, Jews are the most racist group of motherfuckers on the planet. The Talmud, which is their version of the New Testament, because that's something a lot of my fellow Christians forget, that modern Judaism is not the Judaism they find in the Old Testament. They got their own version of the New Testament. It's fucked up. It is basically a religion of racial supremacism. Jews, like, there's not a lot of white supremacism out there, even among white nationalists. There is a shit ton of Jewish supremacism in the world, a shit ton of it. And I think that the reason that so many of the chosen, Reni's hopped in here. Good to have you, Davis.
Hey, just got back from work. Sorry about the delay.
Yeah. But I think the reason so many of the chosen want to equate white identity, white nationalism even, and I'm not a white nationalist myself, but I don't think white nationalism is evil by any stretch. But the reason they want to equate white identity with Nazism, with racial supremacism, with hatred and real bigotry, not bullshit microaggressions or whatever, is because I really think that there's a tremendous amount of these Jews that they can't actually ponder the thought of a racial identity that isn't wrapped up in racial supremacism. In other words, when I say I'm proud to be white, I'm glad to be white, I'm happy with my white heritage, you know, all those kind of things, and they accuse me of being a Nazi. Hang on 1 second, folks. Sorry, I had to police a little dog here. They accuse me of being a Nazi for that. They accuse me of being, you know, oh, you like being white? That must mean you hate black people, for example. I think at this point I'm beginning to think the reason they say that is because they don't understand the idea of actually having some sort of racial identity or racial pride that isn't wrapped up in some idea of supremacism. That they themselves are so fucking racist, and I use that in a pure sense of the term of racial hatred, that they can't conceive of anyone else being anything between some manner of racial supremacist or racial masochist. In other words, the reason they think that maybe when they're accusing the idea of it's okay to be white, like those little signs of being racist, is maybe they're so fucked up in the head that they can't even process the idea that it's not.
Might I make an observation? And
Sure.
You'll have to forgive me because I'm still sober, but it just seems to me that narcissists who lack empathy for other people tend to assume everybody is exactly like them. I think it's called projection.
Yeah. So, you know, if they say that, you know, if you make a statement that I'm proud of white people, I think white people deserve a homeland, and I think the white race should continue to survive and thrive.
I think it's okay to be white.
Yeah, that in their mind, I am saying I wish to see a white boot on all other races' necks till the end of time, because that's what they want. It is projectism. So for the longest time, I thought, you know, because I always scoffed at the idea that, you know, the idea of white's identity should be tied to Nazism or any kind of supremacism or racial hatred or brutal authoritarian system like that. But I guess I maybe it's not a slander. Maybe they just hear white identity and think white supremacism. Maybe they cannot conceive of a difference between the two.
Well, and this is the core of the triggering, is that it is Jews that are triggered by this. Yeah. Okay, if you want to trollishly trigger somebody, I was talking about this with some guys at work about what the next catchphrase could be, and we were thinking it would be really ballsy is wearing a shirt that actually said we should have picked our own damn cotton. And it's like if somebody takes issue, it's like, what? I'm opposed to slavery. That's all it's saying.
But yeah, it's kind of something that it just sort of I might try to flesh this out for a later video or something. But you know, again, we're talking about Nazi supervillains, and it's just something, you know, that dawned on me as Luke and I were talking. Like, no, you know, they think the mere idea of any manner of racial pride is the same thing as racial supremacism, because they themselves are a bunch of racial supremacists who can't, you know.
And yet they can't even form their own country without foreign support. Not like an alliance, the alliance of the free countries. No, they need this absolute commitment of America to maintain the state of Israel. They can't just exist on their own terms or with fair military alliances. They need the supremacy.
Well, I've often said the middle of the Israeli flag, instead of being the Star of David, should be replaced by the American dollar sign, because that's what's keeping it alive.
Although, you know what, I will say, like a friend of mine was actually the ones putting up the "It's okay to be white" posters on campus with his buddy. and he's Jewish and his buddy is Colombian.
Well, yes, that's. I mean, and I don't think I need to say this to.
I'm not racist, but moment.
Yeah, I don't think I need to say this to my audience, but when we're talking about, group X is like Y, we're obviously speaking in generalizations. You can point to all manner of exceptions, and I think everybody here is smart enough to understand that exceptions exist. And, while they don't necessarily break the rule, they shouldn't be ignored.
Basically, this is a cultural issue that the Jews have, and they need to get over it. They need to stop thinking that everybody's plotting against them all the time. Because ironically, it's that trait that causes people to eventually be forced to start plotting against them.
Well, what's the old saying that anti-Semitism is the crazy idea that, you don't get thrown out of 110 places because everyone else is an asshole?
Yeah, pretty much. Racism is noticing patterns.
So, speaking of noticing patterns, I can't help but notice a certain pattern coming out of Hollywood right now.
Oops.
And that's that hide your kids, hide your wife. They're raping everybody up in here.
Or at least masturbating in front of them.
Yeah, I was joking with Luke earlier. I was like, all right, Luke, if you want to be on my stream tonight, you got to watch me jerk off first. You want to be a star, don't you? I wonder if that's how people got on Channel Awesome. If they had to watch Doug Walker pull his pud.
What is that? Oh God, let me put it this way. I'm a very creative individual, behind closed doors, but I don't get this. What is the watch me jerk off? This is like the park flasher thing. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the park and scare people by showing them my willy.
Yeah, I'm not really getting the idea of that. I mean,
even a foot cut. Like, I don't like feet. I think they're gross. But I could see, like, yeah, okay, it's like girl feet are all kind of pretty. Okay, I can see that you might like that. All right. Okay, I'll give you that one. I'm going to give you that one because now we got the masturbating in front of clothed women guys, all right? So, like, all you foot fetish weirdos, I'm okay with you now because we've got Louis C.K. in town.
And that just gets Louis C.K. to normal. Oh, I see Luke made the new Israeli flag for us. That's lovely. Well, the other big story, aside from Louis C.K., is Charlie Sheen. Corey Feldman has now accused Charlie Sheen of being, I guess, the first among many that raped Corey Haines. So there's that. When Corey Haines was, 14 or something? I think Charlie Sheen was like 20 or some shit like that. Hide your kids, hide your wife. They're raping everybody up in here.
Yeah, I want to make a joke about that, but I just can't.
You want to be a star, don't you?
Well, and by the way, the Charlie Sheen wasn't even seduction; it was rape.
Yeah, that's the other thing. This and supposedly we're coming to find out it was attempted with the Kevin Spacey thing, but this isn't. We're not talking about statutory rape here. We're not talking about somebody was encouraged to do something they did not have the legal and possibly mental capacity to consent to. We are talking about hold down while screaming rape. Full on Jerry Sandusky style.
Yeah, we've gone from girls that are upset that they had to suck Jew dick to get $1 million jobs. Like, honey, you're a whore. Accept it. Don't pretend you're a victim. You are a whore. I'm glad you're taking down Weinstein, but you're a frickin' whore. I've got no respect for you. We went from that to 14-year-olds that really shouldn't have been at this party in the first place. 14-year-olds that were probably already doing a lot of messed up stuff because of a broken home life. And then we get, drunken idiot comes on to them. It's like not appropriate, but again, you're already in this situation, okay? You're signing up for the ride, you go where it takes you. But when we're talking about this with a what was he, 13, being held down, being raped by oh man, Luke, you are a maestro.
Yeah. It's just increasingly ugly. And you know, and we're not even at the tip of it. We're nowhere near done. That's the thing. This has only begun.
Oh, the party's just getting started.
And you know, the Louis C.K. thing, there was a time not too long ago where I'd probably be kind of defending him right now because, okay, he brought these women up to his, you know, apartment and he made a really, really clumsy and, in my opinion, pathetic sexual come on to them. But I highly doubt the door was locked. They could have left. You know, big fucking deal. But at the same time, you know what? This fucking mangina, this fucking cuck, spent the last few years running around with all this feminism and white guilt and affirmative consent bullshit. So you know what, Louis? You live by the feminism, you die by the feminism. I'm
Same
quite
thing.
happy to watch them eat you.
If you see a liberal getting gang raped by Muslims, you just tip your hat and carry on with your business. That's what they ask for. That's what they get. Actions have consequences.
Yeah, I'm done being fair and all that kind of stuff. Fuck them. I hope they burn them alive.
I've got no problems with it. I can't wait. Another thing we were talking about at work, like, don't you wish, like, the internet will be down by this point, but wouldn't it be wonderful if the Dindus were still uploading videos as they go get revenge on Whitey, and they're getting revenge on all of the liberals that live in the downtowns of the cities? Like, wouldn't that just be wonderful to watch? It would almost like being in heaven will be even better because we'll get like hell, but that'll be our like first taste of heaven, watching the sinners cry out in pain without understanding why.
You know, the Roy Moore thing. Roy Moore is accused of fucking some 14-year-old when he was, and a few other teenage years, but the youngest being 14 when he was in his 30s. And you know what? I don't know if he did it, but it really wouldn't surprise me if he did, because mark my words, Roy Moore is a dirty motherfucker. He's got that squeaky clean religious right thing, but I've always my spider sense is going off on that guy. That said, though, there's no concrete evidence that he did it. And until such time as there is, no Republican should be throwing him under the bus. And at this point, even if he did it, I hope they never prove it, because fuck it. Every leftist hates him and every establishment GOP guy hates him. I hope he gets in there. I'm done even being fair about it. Fuck it. I hope he gets in there just because it makes their pussies hurt. You know, and I mean, like the Democrats have any room to talk. Half of them are probably sacrificing babies to Moloch.
Mm-hmm.
So well, yeah, the idea that Roy Moore might have had his hand in the underage cookie jar when he was a, 30-year-old and fucking a teenager. Oh well. It wouldn't surprise me if he did it, because I think he's far dirtier than anybody's willing to admit. But oh well, if he did, I don't care anymore.
The simple fact of this is that we long ago moved past the point of debate. The liberals are completely incapable of rational discourse. They just want us dead. Yep. So this is just war by legal proxy right now. That's all this is. And yeah, fuck them.
Yeah,
this is the world they want.
I'm not a particular fan of Roy Moore, and I never have been. But I don't. I mean, to use a nerd analogy, you might not like the Romulans, but when the Borg wander into your sector, you're fighting alongside them.
Oh, God, she's such a horrid-looking woman.
She really is.
The sad thing is, like, by the SJWs, that's what a righteous person looks like. Okay, by like their twisted morality, she actually is the righteous one, and Trump is a rapist.
You know how ugly Hillary Clinton is? All the men she knows are rapists, and she's never been raped. That's pretty ugly. The Hollywood thing, though, is amazing. This is...
It's like Christmas came early this year.
Well, and I gotta pat myself on the back right here. I called it. And I mean, I wasn't the only one, but I certainly called it. I said early on in this that this felt different. This doesn't feel like your typical little scandal that came out and it'll get forgotten. No, this feels like it has that same feeling as like that first weekend when the Zoe Quinn stuff was breaking, or right after that first presidential debate Trump was in with the other Republicans, where I just kind of sit there and I'm like, I think things just changed. I think momentum has shifted. I think there's been a change in the air pressure, whatever analogy you want to use, but things have changed. And this Hollywood thing, it's just unraveling further and further and further. Every leak they plug, 2 more pop up. This is the beginning of a big thing here. And fuck them. I mean, I'm not sad to see Hollywood burn. They're not even doing their job of entertaining us anymore.
Now, I would also caution that just because our enemies are burning doesn't mean that things are going in the right direction either. So not too much optimism, folks. I was way too optimistic about Gamergate, for example. And Gamergate, yeah, something like Gamergate, something like Weinstein can't change the fact that there's people riding around in Walmart in Little Rascals right now. A lot.
No, I think you can, you spend a week at the gym and it's not going to get you in shape, but it's definitely taking a step in the right direction. That's the thing. We didn't get where we are overnight. We're not going to fix things overnight. These are definitely steps in the right direction. They're definitely indicators that there's some undercurrent of some.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's a beautiful image. That gets my dick rock hard.
Speaking of which, yeah, we'll definitely be talking about the church shooting and gun control and shit here soon too. But yeah, I think these are all senses that there's definitely some things still right out there that may not even be able to prevent a collapse, but maybe just maybe there's enough under the surface that things can be rebuilt afterwards. All right, I do want to move on to the to a couple other topics, but first let me go ahead and get the sponsors out of the way, or sponsor, I should say. First things first, though, you'll see down below, I have a Patreon where you can send me some monthly shekels. If you like what I do there, Goy, you can go ahead and send me some shekels there each month. Just $1 even would help, but seriously though, if you like what I do, Patreon's a good way to support me. That's a regular amount coming in each month. And also, if you don't want to sign up for a monthly thing, and I understand that, that's but you have a few shekels there, and you're like, I like this Bechtloff guy, I'd like to help him keep doing what he's doing. Well, you could send me a one-time donation through PayPal. So 2 ways you can send me some shekels there. So that's how awesome I am. I give you the choice of how to send me some shekels there. And also, we have a sponsor this week, and sponsor is Aaron Clary's Books. So let me bring up the ad copy here, and here we go. Christmas is not just around the corner, but it might as well be, because you're all going to procrastinate until the 11th hour and make mad dashes to Walmart, hoping they're open Christmas Eve, which Walmart is, of course, open Christmas Eve. But worse, some of you will follow the sheep and actually do your Christmas shopping the day after Thanksgiving because you hate yourself and want to be an easy target for terrorists. But if you're smart and want to make your Christmas shopping easy, do it now and buy one of Aaron Clary's books. Clary's books are the gift that nobody wants but everybody needs. Be it Bachelor Pad Economics, Worthless, Reconnaissance Man, Curse of the IQ, Bechtloff's Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty. Yeah, Bechtloff's Guide Out of Poverty. Poor Richard's Retirements. Clary's books make great gifts for all the men in your life. All men and even women need to know the knowledge, wisdom, and advice in these books. And the younger you know, the better. So give the gift that can save lives, Aaron Clary's Books. They're available in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook format, all conveniently located at Amazon.com. While you're at it, why not consider hiring Cappy for a private consult to make sure you're not fucking up? Visit him at assholeconsulting.com today. Also, I'm going to add to this ad copy a little bit here. I gave Worthless to the daughter of a friend of mine who was graduating high school a few years ago. And she read that book and decided while all her friends were going off to, get some bullshit liberal arts degree, she was going to go learn to be a mechanic. And now she has a decent job, not a tremendous amount of school debt. She may even have paid it off already, all because of that book. She's far better off at a young age than most of her friends. So, yes, his books do make great gifts. And also, while we're on the subject of shekels and ads and whatnot, if you would like to sponsor a live stream, now what that means is you get in touch with me and you pay me to talk about a specific topic for no less than an hour, you can get in touch with me. Rates are roughly $10 an hour. That means both the hour of the live stream and any sort of prep/research time I got to put into it. And then it's an additional 10 if you want to make sure that Luke is guaranteed to be here because you want visuals. Those rates are kind of rough. They are negotiable depending on the exact topic, so get in touch with me on that. And yeah, also check out the VidMe channel if you haven't already checked it out. Luke is animating like a madman here recently, so these videos are coming out. In fact, I need to do some recording because he's rapidly catching up with the amount of stuff I've put out there for him. So do check out the VidMe channel. The last one I put up with was one with some thoughts on the Power Rangers. That's a fun little one. There was one on Rick and Morty. There's one on Castlevania 2 here recently. Good stuff. So check those out. And
I was actually rewatching your Indiana Jones Mario video last night before crashing. It's a good one.
Yeah, that's the first one I did. That one is actually available on YouTube as well. Because I hadn't thought of moving over to VidMe yet, but the animated videos going forward will be on the VidMe channel, so you have to check out VidMe to get those.
And maybe we can get some ideas for other VidMe videos.
That's another good thing. And I was especially thinking that with the Patreon supporters. I don't know what to do for Patreon rewards yet. I really do want to do something, because if you're kind enough to be supporting me each month, you deserve a little something special. So I am working on thinking up a reward tier. It hasn't even been a full month yet, so I haven't thought it up yet. The biggest problem is a lot of things people do for Patreon rewards are usually some manner of basically special interaction with you. Like I'll answer a question, or you could talk one-on-one with me or whatever. But really, I don't have that many fans in the first place, so most people can get a hold of me pretty easily anyway. So I don't know about that, but I am thinking. But yes, I especially from patrons, I do want to hear some suggestions for VidMe vids. I got a few good ideas that I got to record coming up, and I'm also going to do a VidMe vid. It's going to be one of the very upcoming ones. I'm going to record it either tonight or tomorrow, and we'll see. Luke will probably be able to get it up possibly within a week. Where I'm going to do a kind of a Christmas guide. If you like me, you got, not only are you kind of a nerd, but you got a lot of nerd friends, and they can be kind of hard to shop for. So I have a few ideas, a good list of stuff you can check out that might be some good stuff to do your Christmas shopping this year.
Just buy them Transmetropolitan and their very own space dog.
So he said Bechtloff Patreon reward will be a personal jerk-off stream with you. Yeah. Well, you want to be a star, don't you? You got to watch me jerk off. So he said, I used to have you on my Facebook, Bechtloff, but I deleted my account months back. Well, that's a shame because I'm not on the Twitter anymore. Well, actually, I am. But I'm on there with a troll account. They just screw around with. Although I'm thinking of just changing the troll account to just the name of it to just be not Bechtloff, and just like be joking around like, well, I'm not Bechtloff. Why do you keep saying I'm Bechtloff? Let's see. What else did we want to talk about this week? Oh, the shooting. The shooting. That's what I wanted to cover next.
This one really didn't work out too well for the liberal narrative, did it?
No, it really didn't. So some atheist dipshit went into a Texas church and shot up the place, and I don't even know how many people he killed or injured, but some wonderful Texas gentleman happened to have a gun on him and decided to put a stop to his nonsense. And in the aftermath of it, all those wonderful Hollywood celebrities decided to take time out of their busy schedules of molesting children and jerking off in front of each other to condemn prayer. They were all making that same stupid, I'm not even going to call it a talking point, more like a lame joke.
Would you please stop praying in there? I'm trying to jerk off in front of these models.
Well, they kept making the same thing, like, thoughts and prayers is useless. They were shot in a church. They don't need prayers. They need gun control. And you know what? Enough's enough. Like, guess what, liberals? You don't get to shoot at me and then demand I disarm. That's not going to happen.
They were in a gun-free zone. They were suffering. What they needed was less gun control, and they could have shot back.
And then, like, Stephen Colbert's running his mouth about how we need gun control. His exact words were, if there was a tiger in your village killing everybody, you'd do something about it. And it's like, yes, Stephen, I'd shoot it with my gun. You know,
guns aren't
actually,
running.
You know what?
Guns aren't running down the streets playing their raps music and stealing all the jobs. Okay, it's not the guns running around doing all this stuff.
In all fairness, tigers are pretty cool. So if possible, I'd like to try and capture the animal alive and get him to a zoo. But point is, it's not a good analogies there. I actually saw somebody respond to that Stephen Colbert bit where they're like, "I'm glad to see you agree. We need to get rid of the Muslims." Like, but yeah, like, no, you're not taking the gun away, all right? And you know what? I'm tired of even having this argument. I'm tired of trying to talk sense into these fucking liberals. Because, you know what? At this point, I'm just like, no, now what? Okay? No, I'm not giving it up. Fucking do something about it. All right? And you know what? I've made my peace with God. If you want to send some federal agents in here, kick my door down and take all my guns, that's fine. And they'll probably be able to take them, but they're going to earn it. All right? At least one of them ain't going home that night. Like, I'm done arguing about it. No. The answer is fucking no. I don't care how many of you deranged, fucking antidepressant popping shitbag liberals want to go out there and try and beat the Vegas high score. I am not disarming. Not going to happen. You know, to quote good old Charleston Heston, my cold, dead hands, motherfucker.
Bring it, you sons of bitches.
Or as I often like to say, I have made my peace with God. Let's dance. I don't have any wife or kids. I don't care. Fuck it. If I die, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be sad, but nobody's going to not know how to pay the mortgage, all right? So fine. You want to kick my door in and try and take them. That's fine. I've got more than I've ever admitted publicly. I'll tell you, that's how many guns do I have? I got more than you think.
I thought you lost them all in a boating accident.
Oh yeah, there's somebody stole them here recently. I have none of them. Wink, wink, wink. But no, I'm tired. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this argument with you fuckers. Like, no, you can't have them. No, I'm not giving them up. No, I don't care how many times you go out there and try and shoot us. It's not happening.
Oh, you should come to peaceful Canada where we're not even allowed to have rum-tipped cigarillos anymore. That's fucking illegal. Oh, by the way, we have shootings every week here in Calgary.
I'll tell you what, though. I am willing to meet you leftists halfway. I am will. Now we may need a constitutional amendment for this, but I'm willing to help you with this. I am willing to pass a legislation that says that registered Democrats are not allowed to own firearms. I would be willing to meet you halfway with that. Because frankly, I wouldn't trust y'all with scissors at this point, all right? So I would be willing to support you in that. All right, we can get that passed. Registered Democrats are no longer allowed to have firearms. That seems fair. Because apparently y'all can't be trusted with them.
It's this urge to control things that cannot be controlled. Okay, all these people, like I was just kind of sitting around thinking about everything that could go wrong. We were kind of, talking about where would be good machine gun emplacements, that sort of stuff. I'm like, it would be funny if somebody broke into the crane and just started fucking up all the other buildings by smacking them with the crane's hook, right? And then if he rappelled down out of the crane, you could probably get away with that. Like you would cause millions of dollars worth of damage just by smacking around all these office towers downtown, and you'd get away with it. And you don't need a gun for that.
And you know what? If somebody wants to kill a bunch of people and they don't care if they live or die, let alone if they get away with it, there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do to prevent something like that from happening. See, that's the thing. Like, look, part of it with the gun control thing is obviously that a bunch of really shitbag leftists want to do things to me and to you for which they should be rightfully shot.
No, they should, no. They should be drawn and quartered.
Especially the politicians.
I personally volunteer to administer the emasculation to Truvada Trudeau when he finally gets convicted for treason.
But yeah, that's part of it. But another part of it is there are useful idiots out there who just get scared when they see this stuff on the news and they want to do something. Not necessarily something smart or something that would work, but they want to feel in control again. Because when somebody goes out and they go crazy and they want to kill everybody and they go shoot up a bunch of motherfuckers and then they get shot themselves or they shoot themselves, then they've escaped earthly justice. There's nothing we can do to them. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to hang their corpse? We can't do anything to them. They have escaped our earthly justice, and we don't like that. There's no catharsis in that. When somebody acts a fool like that and does evil shit, we want to hang the motherfucker. That's our nature. That's the nature of man. And when we can't, that's upsetting. And people want to feel like somebody needs to pay. So that's how you get like, oh, it's the evil gun makers. And you know what? You get a little bit of this on the right, too. Every time one of these shooters turns out to be somebody younger than 30, I got to hear a lecture about how the evil, violent video games made them do it.
The raps made them do it.
Yeah, the rap songs made him do it. He listened to the ICP and he played Doom on his fucking PC, and now he's going to go kill everybody.
While using his smartphone, no less.
Yeah. He listened to them heavy metal and rap musics, and he played the Call of Duty, and that's what made him go crazy.
Some of his ex-girlfriends report that he liked spanking them. He's a psychopath.
So yeah,
you baby boomers have no idea how weird we are in the bedroom nowadays.
But that's the thing. Even a lot of right wingers. I mean, look, we've all had to hear the violent video games and the evil rap music and Marilyn Manson made him do it and all that bullshit. Okay, because again, when the actual person who is responsible is dead, you want to hold somebody responsible.
Well, listen. Here's the thing. When you live in a city, there needs to be a certain standard of behavior. For instance, one of my neighbors had an issue where a car that had been parked there for a very long time rolled out of the driveway into rush hour traffic. And so that was a whole adventure with the police and everything else, right? Because like when you live in the city, if you live in the country and your car rolls into the road, nobody gives a shit. When you live in the city and your car rolls into the road, you're causing a lot of trouble for a lot of other people. So we need some basic regulations. And when something really weird and out of place happens, whether it's a 12-year-old driving their parents' car to go buy a damn hamburger, or if it's somebody shooting up a church, we need to pull back and say, hey, what the hell happened here? This is not supposed to happen. And sometimes you need to pass a new law. Okay, if you find out that the guy whose car rolled into traffic, there's no law against that. Well, you know what? There should be a law, because if you're going to park your car on a driveway at an angle, then the brakes need to be in good shape, But most of the time there shouldn't be. We already have we have a lot of laws. Maybe we have enough right now, and maybe evil people are just going to do evil things.
Well, look, yeah, I mean, look, there's a difference between taking basic precautions and trying to prevent bad things from happening, and at a certain point realizing, like, sometimes bad things are going to happen. You know, when I was heading home a couple days ago, I was heading down this road, a bit of a country road, but long stretch of road in the middle of nowhere, and I'm hauling ass going about 50 because it's only slightly over the speed limit. It's like a 45, and the other guy going the other way is going about 52, right? Now, there's nothing I could have done to predict it. If, for instance, that guy had gone out and decided, you know what? I am going to kill myself by slamming this car into the first fucking Ford I see going the opposite direction.
Well, there is one thing. You could have moved to a red state.
Well, I mean, I'm in a red state. I'm proud to say.
Oh, there you go.
But, I mean, it's quite possible that the guy coming the other way intends to do that. And I would have no ability to predict that and possibly not even be able to get out of the way and prevent it, right? And then boom, I'm dead. He's dead. But you know what? At a certain point, you got to just live your life. You got to accept that, sometimes bad shit's going to happen to you. And you try and do what you can to prevent it. But at a certain point, you got to say, hey, I've made my peace with God, go live your life. There's that line in Rick and Morty where they were talking about vampires being real. And Summer's all like, oh, what are we going to do? And Rick says, we're going to live our lives until we die. Possibly by vampire, more likely from car wreck and heart disease, but possibly by vampire. So when I hear one of these shootings, my initial reaction is, oh, what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to live my life until I die. Possibly shot by some crazy leftist, but more likely heart disease or car wreck, but possibly shot by some crazy leftist. I've made my peace with God. I'm just going to, I'll take basic precautions in life, but I'm going to live my life, Yeah, when I get in my car, I put my seatbelt on, but I'm not afraid to get in my car, even though that's probably the most dangerous thing all of us do every day by a wide margin. But if I got to go somewhere, I got to go somewhere. So at a certain point, you just got to accept, it is what it is. Live your life.
There's only so much you can do with regulation. Like if people are, again, this guy wasn't allowed to own a gun. He was shooting in a gun-free zone. I wonder how that happened. How did he get his gun into the gun-free zone? I just don't understand it.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I gotta rant about that. But when people talk, we need another law. We need another law when people are already breaking laws that exist.
Yeah, what the hell? What more are we supposed to? What
yeah,
law?
This isn't fucking Hogwarts where rules magically enforce themselves. Okay, like what do you like a gun-free zone? When you walk in there, it's like a video game. Your gun just clips out of existence while you're in there. It doesn't work that way.
And listen, by the way, I was joking about like even my example with the neighbor with the car that rolled into traffic. We've had a law about that for thousands of years. It's called car at large. Same thing 1,000 years ago. If your cow got out of your stable and started causing shit for the other neighbors, that was considered cow at large. You're supposed to contain the damn animal, and now it's causing trouble for other people. We already had a legal process for that 1,000. I'm sure the Code of Hammurabi has cow at large in there. All right? So this is basic legal shit. We don't need any more fucking laws.
And again, this gun-free zone shit. Razorfist was saying a while back, I remember they were asking him if he was going to go to this one con out in Arizona, like, have a panel or something, like fans are asking him. And he's like, no, I don't go to those cons. And they're like, why? He goes, because they're gun-free zones and I don't want to get shot. And, that's probably, now, he may go to a con as a civilian, as just incognito. I don't know what he does. But, yeah, if I was Razorfist, I don't think I'd want to go to a con either. Because you never know when some batshit crazy Anita Sarkeesian fan is going to want to shoot him. And he's not allowed to have a gun to defend himself.
And you know what? It's the fear of him having the gun that would stop them. Okay? It's like, honest to God, like this is why, well, you're going to shoot back. No, it's the fear is that these sort of people are cowards. All right, it's like Muslims, again, with that upper picture there, Muslims don't attack places, with armed people. They sneak around. They're not looking for open battle, but some sort of sneaky backstab attack.
Yeah, I mean, I never go anywhere without like a knife or switchblade or something on me. And I realize a knife's not a gun. I'm not fucking...
I just like to say for the record, I'd never do that because defending yourself with a knife is illegal in Canada. And I respect Truvada Trudeau too much.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a tool that I carry with me sometimes, just in case I need to cut my seatbelt.
Yeah. I realize that a knife's not a gun. You know what I mean? I realize
it's actually more effective at 21 paces or less.
But it's not like somebody's going to go in there, shoot the place. I'm going to be like Hawkeye and I'm going to throw my knife from across the room and it's going to hit him right in the throat or something.
I'm going to jump over whatever's between me and him and put it in his eye.
But yeah, I have a big hunting knife, utility knife or something. And yeah, to some extent it's a tool. I mean, you need to cut things sometimes. It's got a seatbelt cutter on it. It's all that kind of shit. When I'm at work, I don't want to have to hunt for the fucking box cutter that somebody has pocketed off or something. But at the same time, I do feel a little more comfortable with it because it's not necessarily a gun. But then again, I'm not the best shot in the world. And yeah, it's not a gun, but it's not nothing.
Again, knives are more effective at 21 paces, and they're actually more afraid of getting cut than they are getting shot. But again, I only carry mine to break open the windshield if I get into a car accident and to cut open my cigarette packs. That's why it has the double locking mechanism on the blade, is to make sure those cigarette packs get open because I love smoking. I don't break any laws. I love Truvada Trudeau. If a criminal broke into my house, I would just huddle in a ball and cry and think about how wonderful it is that we have legal marijuana in this country. I would not defend myself. That's illegal in Canada. Just if you rum tip cigars.
You should just offer the guy some legal weed and maybe he'll calm down. Next thing you know, you just see Davis and the attacker just chilling on the couch high. And they're like, "Now we're cool now."
It might be a native, and he'll say that's cultural appropriation and get even angrier.
Like Davis, this guy tried to kill me, but then we just got high and watched the Seth Rogen movie. Because
be careful, you're going to give Jon Stewart a nighttime emission.
Watch.
I don't know why it happened. I was just imagining this live stream in my dream.
Well, they were watching a Seth Rogen movie. You know that one where he plays a fat stoner?
Oh, or that one where his best friend is a fat stoner.
It's that one that's kind of funny at first, but it gets worse each time you see it.
The one with the really bad premise that's at first really screwball, and you kind of get it's like, hey, this is neat, and then by the end you're like, this is really fucking stupid.
Coming this summer from Seth Rogen. Weed, dude, LMAO, the movie.
These stupid Canucks actually think weed is being legalized because, the government cares about them, not because it's going to make them even stupider than they already are. Oh, that's such a punchable face, isn't it? Yes. That's a face that needs to be punched.
I was hardly as red-pilled, quote unquote, as I am now. But I remember when that movie, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, came out and everybody was talking about how great it is. I remember actually being mildly offended just at the premise of that movie.
Yeah, I was as well.
First of all, I don't like the idea of kids being born out of wedlock because it's terrible for them and it's the easiest thing in the world to avoid. Not The 40-Year-Old Virgin. I mean, Knocked Up. I'm sorry. I get those bullshit 2000s comedies mixed up. But the movie Knocked Up with Seth Rogen. But yeah, I don't like the idea of kids being born out of wedlock, first of all. And it's the easiest thing in the world to avoid. Don't tell me it's not. They sell rubbers at the store, jackass. But also, it's like, it's just this fat stoner guy, and I'm supposed to think it's like, no, it's everything about this movie is just cringeworthy and pathetic. I mean, I like a good degenerate, raunchy comedy as much as the next guy. You know, I mean,
Do you remember the good ones where they'd be like trying to bang all the girls all the time, and there'd be all sorts of tits in the movie? But you can't do that now. That's rapey.
It's like we're a long way from things like Animal House or Caddyshack, or hell, even I think the last one I think that still had that good classic vibe was like Van Wilder, where you know the guy in it is actually likable and cool. But yeah, I like those kind of movies. I'm not some prude where it's like, oh, there was fornication in this movie, it makes my pussy hurt. No, I like movies like that. But at a certain point,
nipples. We don't want children seeing nipples.
You know, when it's all about like, oh, look at this loser is gonna raise this bastard, and this kid's probably gonna fucking shoot up a church in the year 2017. Like, I don't want to fucking watch that movie. You know.
I only feed my children formula because I don't want them seeing nipples.
Like, yeah, Animal House is great, you know, or Caddyshack, or hell, even Kentucky Fried Movie is pretty good. I think the middle of it's pretty lame, but it's definitely got some great parts to it. Those are classic comedies. And you compare that to shit like fucking 40-Year Virgin or Weed Dude LMAO.
It's just so condescending. The premise is just so damn condescending. The 40-year-old virgin. I don't know.
Or like every Ben Stiller movie, where it's like the people making this movie don't understand the difference between awkward and funny.
Dude, where's my car? Like I can't stand the stoner comedies.
Even that I think can be done well.
Well, you know what? Cheech and Chong are actually pretty funny. I mean, the modern
Cheech and Chong are pretty funny. If you ever seen Half Baked with Dave Chappelle and you know that one Jim Brewer, that movie's actually pretty funny.
Wildly hilarious. I want to punch everybody on the cover of that movie, especially the gay dog.
Half Baked's pretty good. What the hell? You know, Jay and Silent Bob stuff was pretty good. I mean, some of those movies are terrible, but like Clerks 2 is funny as shit. Clerks is funny. Mallrats is funny.
Even the ones that miss, like they're hit and miss. Even the ones that miss, there's still something there.
Yeah, there's still like
you don't regret seeing it.
Yeah, I mean the only one that's actually awful is Chasing Amy, and that's because it doesn't even bother trying to be a comedy.
Oh, I like that one. I thought it was a study of a borderline destroying a man's life.
Well, it might be good in that
character
regard.
Study. Like the problem is, I don't think that Kevin Smith realizes that his real life chasing Amy, she was a fucking monster. Amy in that movie is a fucking predator, and she just ruins this guy's life because he falls for it.
But Clerks 2 is probably the one where he's just stops trying to make any kind of real movie, and he's like, just have fun with this. And I think it's kind of one of the best ones because he just doesn't give a fuck. But again, you can do that kind of stuff right. There's nothing really that's off limits on a comedy to me. But there's certain stuff that's kind of cheap and kind of lame if you're not good about it. You know what I mean? And stoner comedy is definitely one of those things. Because stoner comedy is one of those things where it's like, a lot of people think they can just use that as an excuse to not try. You know what I mean? To just have, LOL random bullshit. And like, I don't know why there's cheap, I get it. I was like, why is the Mario fish there?
I thought he was just doing random humor that stoners would think was funny.
But yeah, it's a cheap cheat, see? So it kind of is stoner humor, but it works better than Dude, Where's My Car?
I will say I did like Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
I liked that one too, actually. I liked, to be honest, I thought all those movies were okay.
I shouldn't have liked it, but I really did. So I was predisposed to hate it.
I like how in those movies, Neil Patrick Harris is this huge like poon hound, and by the time we get to like the last movie, that actor had already like admitted that he was gay. He'd already come out as gay. So in like the third movie, they're like, "Wait, I heard you were gay," and he's like, "No, that's just something I say, man." I pretend to be gay to get chicks. Like, it's just the right amount of stupid that it works. You know what I mean? It's
I know. I'm laughing right now.
It's the kind of thing where it really shouldn't be as funny as it is, but it just works.
People are hating on us for liking these movies.
Fuck them. You know, have some fun in life.
Oh, Super Troopers is damn fun. Who wants a mustache ride? Oh, the degenerate polyamorous German couple.
You know what one is damn good and no one ever talks about it? There's a movie called Euro Trip. That movie is fucking hilarious. Like, I still will watch the hell out of that. And, oh, dude, that's fucking hilarious. But no, I'll watch the hell out of that and laugh. There's a scene where they're riding the train, because they're going from like country to country in Europe. And there's this kind of Italian guy. He's played by the guy that played Borat, right? And like every time they go through a tunnel and it gets dark, he's suddenly, like when the lights come on, he's suddenly sitting next to one of them, like hugging them or trying to kiss them on the cheek. And when they're like, dude, he's like, mi scusi, mi scusi. And then there's one where like they go through like this super long tunnel. And they play that like this. They start playing that disco song Hot Stuff because right as they're about to go into the tunnel, he smiles this like predatory smile at him. That movie's so much better than it has any right to be. the guy ends up breaking into the, like, they go to the Vatican. He ends up breaking into like the Pope's office, and he accidentally walks outside on the, like, he accidentally throws something into the fire, so it makes this white smoke, so people think there's a new Pope, and he accidentally walks out into the balcony with the Pope hat. It's just the right amount of dumb shit. There it is. Like, he had gotten wrapped up in the drapes and he had the Pope hat on. He accidentally walked outside with the drape curtain.
And the Pope's watching this on TV like, what the heck's going on?
Oh, that movie's so much better than it has any right to be. I actually saw that movie in the theaters, and like, it didn't do well, I don't think, because like I went to go see, I think it was like I went to go see it with my dad. And because it was like a Tuesday afternoon and there was like no, what do we do? Oh, let's go see a movie. I heard this might be funny. So we go see it. We're the only ones in the theater, right? So then the next day, it's a Wednesday, and I'm hanging out with my girlfriend at the time, and she's like, I'm like, you want to go see a movie? I'm like, Euro Trip's funny. I'll go see it again. We end up seeing it in the exact same theater, and again, we're the only two people in there. I think that movie might have only sold 4 tickets, and I was 2 of them. Yeah, that movie's funny as hell. Like, it starts out because the guy has like a pen pal, and it's some German chick, and her name's Mika. But he thinks it's a dude because he thinks Mika is a dude's name. So, like, when she finally hits on him, he tells her to go fuck off, like, you gay German pervert. And then he realizes it was actually a hot chick that was hitting on him, so he goes to Europe to try and find her.
Oh, Absinthe. I spent way too much time on you in college.
Oh, yeah, they have the Absinthe Green Fairy that pops up whenever they're getting shit-faced. Oh, and Michelle Trachtenberg was quite the hottie back in the day. I think that's her name, isn't it? Am I getting that wrong? It's Michelle Trachtenberg, I think. But yeah, funny movie, good stuff.
To check that one out.
If you're in the mood for a good raunchy comedy, it's definitely something to check out. I think the National Lampoon guys actually made it back when that meant something still.
I like those movies. They usually had tits in them.
Yeah, I think it did have some tits in it.
You know what? You want to see a good movie that really is not a good movie, but the people making it are having so much fucking fun that it wraps back around and becomes a good movie again. Check out Last Resort with the two Coreys in it. It's one of those movies that was only made to, like, there's some sort of financial scam going on. Like, the studio had $200,000 that if they didn't spend would have to be returned to somebody. And so they filmed this completely shit movie on location in Hawaii. All right, and it's a completely shit movie. It's got a shit plot. There's a whole bunch, like, they lampshade the hell out of all the plot holes in the story. You know, the actors are drunk, stumbling into the set pieces half the time, and yet they're also so damn creative. Like, even though they're filming on location in Hawaii, they had this cardboard cutout set, and they keep reusing the same fucking wooden tree. You know, and there's real trees over there, but they keep using these wooden painted, you know, trees in the background. It's a surprisingly funny and enjoyable movie, even though it's a piece of shit.
And Haim was only raped 3 times on set, so that was a new low for him.
Well, now he was old enough to rape back.
Oh, okay, so he was. Oh man.
As long as you don't expect too much from that Last Resort movie, it's fun because the actors are having fun.
National Lampoon used to do really good stuff. I mean, even when they were just farting something out to spend leftover money, they could at least make it mildly entertaining. I mean, hell, Christmas Vacation is one of those movies I watch every December. Like, I'm not even a big guy on Christmas movies, but there's like a handful I watch every December. Like, Christmas Vacation's one of them. I watched the George C. Scott version of A Christmas Carol. That one is actually genuinely touching. I always watch Scrooged with Bill Murray, and I usually watch Bill. You haven't seen Scrooged? That movie's fantastic.
No, I was saying Die Hard.
Yeah, I watch Die Hard too. I usually watch Bad Santa too. I like that one. Yeah, Scrooge is fantastic. Scrooge is like the only modern day retelling of A Christmas Carol that's actually good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I might have to check it out.
It's like he's this TV executive, right? That's actually making a TV movie version of A Christmas Carol while ghosts are visiting him. And it's so fantastic. It's one of Bill Murray's finest too, and I mean that was when Bill Murray was Bill Murray. I used to watch that Garfield Christmas special a lot when I was a kid.
Isn't it funny how the cartoon show of Garfield was so much better and so much more cynical than the shitty comic for adults?
Yes. I used to like the cartoon Garfield a lot when I was a kid.
I'm pretty sure I still would. Like, I'm pretty sure I could sit down and watch an episode of Garfield and Friends. Whereas anytime I read that stupid Garfield comic, I cringe and I worry that somebody is noticing that I'm reading it.
I think now, though, part of the problem now is that like that comic strip's been going on since the 70s, so I'm pretty sure Jim Davis stopped giving a shit like at least 15 years ago. He's just like, I don't know, he eats lasagna, fuck you.
Now, the whole phenomenon of Lasagna Cat was absolutely brilliant. Did you see the breakdown of everything that was going on?
Mm-mm.
Oh, there's this guy. What's he called? Like Midnight Mind, I think is his YouTube channel. He did an hour-long breakdown of that right there. So they started doing these live-action remakes of Garfield comics, and they're not funny. They are really not funny at all. And that's kind of the whole point of the live action remake. And then it breaks down to this whole John Arbuckle, the ultimate failure beta male, and him confronting like this naked man painted up like Garfield out in the wilderness, and absolute complete insanity. But there's a point to all of it. And then, John Arbuckle going and seeing, Jim Davis, the author, because John Arbuckle was Jim Davis when Jim Davis was a douchebag 22-year-old that couldn't get laid.
Somebody in the chat says the Garfield cartoon was ruined by Orson and Friends, and I have to admit that, like, even as a kid, the parts in the Garfield cartoon with like the farm animals and shit, those were just insufferable. Like, I don't know why they made those.
I hated Orson and Friends. What the hell was that? I'm here for Garfield.
Yeah, it's like this completely different thing that has nothing to do with it. It's just jammed into the middle of your Garfield episode. But,
it's like that old Mario Brothers.
Cartoons back then could get like away with being like kind of cynical, but not in a way that was inappropriate for kids. Like, I mean, shit, we had a cartoon based on Beetlejuice back then. Of all the weird things to make a cartoon of, this really quirky, weird, completely inappropriate for children horror comedy. Yeah, we're going to make that into a cartoon. And then, you know how like Beetlejuice was kind of rapey with that Lydia chick? Yeah, they're going to be like boyfriend and girlfriend in the cartoon, because fuck you.
That was my favorite cartoon.
Yeah, it was a great cartoon. That's the best part of it.
It was so bizarre.
And I would love to see them make a movie that connects the first movie to the TV show, if that could probably be possible.
Man, there was a good Addams Family cartoon around that time, too.
Unlike those terrible movies.
I kind of like the Addams Family movies.
Really? They were just so... something about all those 90s movies remakes, where it was always the same plot. There was like some evil people from California trying to steal money from the weird people.
But here's the thing. Here's why I think the Addams Family, especially the first movie, works. Because, like, yeah, you're right. There was tons of remake movies around that time. Like, every old TV or cartoon property got a live-action remake movie. But the reason I think the Addams Family movie works is because they have that dumb bullshit plot that they all do, and the Addams Family movie like barely cares about the plot. Like, it's like the Addams Family movie will be like 10 minutes of the actors just having fun with the roles, and then like begrudgingly like, all right, I guess we got to move the story along for a while, whatever. And then
it's that framing mechanism. I guess I'm thinking more of the Beverly Hillbillies.
That one was terrible because that was just pure. But like
you know what? I think I agree with you. It had the exact same plot as the movie Beethoven, and I'm sure there's about a dozen other family movies that came out in the 90s that had the exact same fucking plot.
Yeah, the Addams Family movie had that plot, but in this almost really good kind of commentary way, they almost had contempt for that plot.
I think you're right. 'Cause I did enjoy the first one. I do have a lot of fond memories. It's like, what's this game called, Wednesday? It's called Is There a God?
Even the second one makes me laugh a lot. Because like in the second one, they have like the new baby, and there's like the one scene still makes me laugh where it's like they're looking at the baby and Gomez is like, he has my father's eyes, and the wife's all like, Gomez, take those out of his mouth. That still makes me laugh.
Yeah, this scene right here is with Wednesday, and the girl says, "Is that your bathing suit? Is that your overbite?"
And like all the scenes with like Morticia and Gomez in those movies are just hilarious. Like what's that guy actor's name? Rajo Julia or something like that. He was also in Bison. I can't think of that actor's name off the top of my head. I'm probably butchering it, but that guy's so good. And he just, every scene in those movies with those two. And again, it's like the movie would just kind of like have like a whole bunch of goofy scenes. And then like, all right, I guess we got to do some plot stuff.
Well, and that's, yeah. And you know what? They nailed it. They look like the Addams Family. Actually, probably the biggest irritation I have is that Uncle Fester starts off as not Uncle Fester when it's like, no, that's Uncle Fester. What? Stop with this stupid plot.
But again, it's like the movie almost has contempt for its own plot. It really is like, yeah, I guess we'll do some plot stuff now. Whatever. It's like the vegetables they have to eat to get to their dessert. They just have such contempt for it.
Jesus, that's such a great Uncle Fester.
Well, Christopher Lloyd's a hell of an actor.
Brilliant. He is so eager and creepy at the same time, and yet innocent.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd's a hell of an actor.
Speaking of which, how long until they remake Back to the Future?
I'm honestly surprised they haven't already. Where you know
what,
Doc Brown will be a black transsexual.
When they do, there will be like this is a really dark joke, but Marty McFly will be vibrating in his grave.
Wait,
I'm sorry, I love that actor. He is such a cool guy.
I got you now. Okay, it took me a minute to get that.
Yeah, you know, he even played that. What is it that he has? Muscular dystrophy?
It's actually Parkinson's, I think.
Parkinson's. He actually, there was on Scrubs, he played a doctor who had Parkinson's. And so he's still an actor, even though he's shaking all over the bloody place. He's still acting. That's phenomenal. Back
when he used to do that show, Spin City, I think it was called, where he was like the mayor's
that
aide.
Was such a good show.
He actually, the character would constantly be like holding a football and like, you know, throwing it from hand to hand. And that was because he was in the very early stages of it and he had to keep his hands busy or they would noticeably fidget. Basically, just he needed a fidget spinner.
You know what, man? That's a courageous, like when your body starts betraying you, when you have a degenerative illness like that, like that's such a courageous way of dealing with it.
Yeah, I always liked him. I can't remember what it like. Family Guy constantly makes like Michael J. Fox jokes, and supposedly, like McFarlane and Michael J. Fox are actually friends and all, and it's like they pointed that out numerous times. But like there was one where it was like, this is the worst idea since they cast Michael J. Fox in the new Zorro movie, and they're like, they cut to a scene where like, who was that masked man? I don't know, but he made his mark. He left his mark, and instead of a Z, it's like this scribble with the sword. And there's the one where like Michael J. Fox accidentally spills like wine or something on Peter's pants, and he said he offered to pay for it, but he wrote me this check, but the bank was like, we can't do anything with this. And he's like, you'd think he would have had his wife handle the checks or something. I mean, what's she up to? You know, I'm actually starting to like, I used to love Family Guy to death. And then I kind of like reached a point where I was like, man, fuck this show. But I'm starting to soften on that show again because it's full of a lot of really base humor and it's full of a lot of taking the piss out of Hollywood. I mean, we've come to find out he was making Kevin Spacey jokes on there long before anybody else knew. He was making jokes about the Bruce Jenner thing when that was still a rumor.
Listen, I do feel mildly ashamed of myself if I'm caught up to all the Family Guy episodes produced.
I will
Every
say
so often I'll go through about like a week where I'm just too depressed to do anything. I'll just watch Family Guy. Then I'm all caught up. I'm like, oh God, what did I do to myself? I should have just abused myself to pornography.
Don't get me wrong. It's definitely a hit or miss thing, but when it's good, it is very good still. They did one here recently where they did like the same little episode. It's the same little story, but it was done through quote unquote different director styles. Like one was done through Michael Bay style and one was done through Quentin Tarantino style. And just all kinds of like based anti-PC humor. Like at the beginning of it, Peter's talking about, he goes, so we got some of the greatest directors to show us his vision. Yes, let's be honest, his. And I got to tell you, The Orville is a damn good show. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it has a lot of room to improve, but it is just season one. And I mean, season one TNG is damn near unwatchable. So it's not like it can't improve, but The Orville is really, really good. It's far better than it has any right to be. Anyone who is a Star Trek fan or ever was a Star Trek fan should watch The Orville. It's definitely a better Star Trek show than whatever the fuck abortion they made here recently, Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, I keep hearing about that. I'm not even going to subject myself to one episode.
Yeah, I haven't watched so much as a minute of it. Life's too short for that. But the Orville is pretty damn good. Now, it's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. It definitely has room to improve. And it was kind of marketed primarily as a comedy, and I wouldn't even say that it is. It's every bit as much of a drama as it is a comedy.
It's a satire.
It succeeds at doing both.
I mean, Galaxy Quest was a satire, but it was still an adventure movie.
Yeah, it was still, there was still real stakes and drama to it.
And I think some sci-fi element. It was as sci-fi as about 3/4 of Star Trek is sci-fi.
I would say the Orville is, it's at times a parody and at times a homage to Star Trek, in much the same way Galaxy Quest is. But again, it's better Star Trek than probably half of the Star Trek that's ever been produced. It's definitely worth checking out. If you ever enjoyed Star Trek at all, you will enjoy Orville. Is it the best show ever? No. But also, I think it's going to get better. That's the thing. It's one of those shows where I can already feel like it's growing. You know what I mean? Or it's growing into itself.
I mean, Coriolanus Rex brings up the Black Vulcans. Can I tell you, like, Tuvok is my big pet peeve. Why do we need Black Vulcans? I thought the Klingons were all black. Or black Asiatic, whatever. Right? Like, instead of having Black Vulcans, why couldn't we have had green Vulcans? White Vulcans and green Vulcans. Right? Like, Tuvok it just throws me off that he's a Vulcan. I just can't buy him as a, like, they have green blood, for crying out loud. How do you get brown skin when you have green blood? I mean, like,
yeah, in all fairness, all their skin tones should be completely different than ours.
The aliens are already way too similar. I'm willing to overlook it. But when you give me a Black Vulcan, it's just shoving it in my face, It's one of those, like, give him green skin or blue skin. I don't know, a pink skin, for crying out loud.
I mean, if you push on your skin and kind of, get it to, push the color out of it, that's what color your skin actually is when there's no blood in it. So if you had green blood, even if your skin was the same color, it would look completely different. But again, overanalyze it too much there, whatever.
The problem is, again, Star Trek went on for too long. Okay, it's weighed down by all the baggage that's come before it. And now they're trying to do prequels. We already saw how Enterprise went. Can we just please move on to a different IP?
Well, then watch the Orville.
No, like that. But at least, like, the Orville is a postmodernist interpretation, which is, at least it's got something it's adding to it. I don't see how the new Star Trek is adding anything.
Something I like about the Orville? I like the comedy in it because it adds a certain human element to it where, I mean, and Next Gen was one of the worst, where it's like, it's written by so many fucking autistics that nobody in it, like, the worst episodes of Next Gen are often when they're trying to show the characters off duty, just trying to have fun.
Especially when it involves Counselor Troy.
Where it's just like, oh, look at Riker rock it out to his smooth jazz saxophone. Like, that's all they're really partying so cool. Hard. And like, there's so much stuff in the Orville where it's just, again, they just feel more like, because they allow a lot more comedy in it, it makes the characters feel more real, interestingly enough. It doesn't make it feel like a farce. It makes the characters feel more relatable and real. Like, there's the Captain Seth MacFarlane, I forget his name off the top of my head, but the redhead dude with the beard, that's actually like his old friend that he kind of like brought on as the chief pilot or navigator or whatever. Is basically he salvaged his friend's career because his friend was a huge fuck up, right? So there's this episode where they're about ready to go through like a wormhole, right? And his kind of fuck up friend was all like, in the academy, we used to call these the glory hole. And like Captain Seth MacFarlane just looks at him all, man, and he goes, you called it that. No one else called it that. And then like the one alien that kind of looks like a Klingon there, the dude with all the riches and all, he's like, he doesn't understand Earth jokes or anything. So he's just like, Captain, we are now entering the glory hole. And he looks at him, he goes, Brutus, you know what? Never mind. I don't care.
Yeah, that's pretty excellent, I gotta admit.
And like there's like after they go through it, because of course it rocks the ship a little bit, and they get out of the wormhole and they're like, damage report. And the girl's like reading off all these like lists of like damages, and then she goes, and Ensign Johnson spilled soy sauce in his pants. And he goes, he put that in the damage report, and she's like, apparently. And he's like, Christ, we need better people.
Okay, maybe I should, when I'm done watching Stranger Things season 2, maybe I'll give that a shot.
Yeah, the Orville is definitely worth. Like I said, it's had a few bumps here. I'm not going to say it's the best show on TV, but I definitely really thoroughly enjoy it, and I think it's probably going to get better if it goes on a few more seasons. I think it's probably one of those shows where it's probably not going to peak for like 3, 4, maybe 5 seasons.
Better than the show with the lesbian named Michael.
Yeah, it's definitely going to peak, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoy the show. I thought it was great, and I mean, there's not a lot of shows I watch right now. I mean, there's not new episodes right now, and who knows when there will be again. But I like Rick and Morty, even though it probably peaked on season 2. I still enjoy it.
It might come back. Actually, you know what? I don't think it'll come back because the creator's he's such a gamma male.
He's such a shithead. I like Flash and Arrow because I love me some superhero stuff, and they're fun shows. I like Family Guy, but it's one of those things where it's like I'm not really upset if I miss it. You know what I mean? Like if I'm sitting around one day and I think, I'll see if there's been any new Family Guys, I'll go on demand. But I don't really care if I miss it. And I like the Orville, and that's like it for me. In fact, I'm probably going to cancel my cable here soon because I really don't need. I mean, hell, a lot of the show, like Stranger Things, is great. I like that on Netflix. Interestingly enough, I haven't watched most of the Marvel shows on Netflix, and I'm not really sure why. It's not like I watched the Daredevil ones. Daredevil season 1 and 2. Daredevil season 1 is a masterpiece. Season 2 is good, but I don't know. I haven't had enough interest to really get into the other ones.
I'll tell you what, I've been working 10, 12 hours a day lately, and I just don't have freaking time for it anymore. I still have not seen the season finale of Game of Thrones, just because the last season was so ridiculous that I don't care. George R.R. Martin, he's never going to finish the series. The people making the TV series are completely useless without him writing the books. So I don't even care how they end it. It's going to be stupid.
I'll tell you what, and look, I'm not going to judge you what your entertainment budget is, how you structure it and all, but I highly recommend a lot of people out there, especially if you're listening to this, if you haven't cut the cord already, cut the cord, get rid of the cable. Because here's the thing, look, I have like 300 channels, right? And that sounds like it's really cool, except that most of them are full of unwatchable garbage or just outright communist propaganda. And why am I supporting that shit? You know what I mean? I mean, think about it. What do I watch here? I watch The Orville. I watch Arrow. I watch Flash. I watch Rick and Morty, right? And I watch Family Guy. All of those I could watch online. All of them. For some reason, YouTube is full of live streams that show recent Family Guy episodes. I don't know what's up with that. I'm pretty sure I could watch Orville on Fox.com or something like that. I know I can watch Arrow and Flash on CW.com or CWTV.com or whatever, because I actually do, because I work Tuesdays and Thursday nights. I can watch Rick and Morty on like AdultSwim.com or something like that.
Or you could hang out with real people.
And I got the Netflix and shit like that. So, my advice is honestly, cut the cable, get yourself Netflix and internet, and if there's a few shows you watch, that's great. Watch them online if you can. Or hell, I mean, if I wanted to, let's say I couldn't watch these shows at all, right? Let's say they weren't online. Well, you know what I could do? I could just wait till the season comes out on DVD. I could buy the damn season on DVD. What is that, like $30, $40, maybe $50 if it's really pricey? Well, yeah, but what is it for cable a month? You know what I mean?
Yeah, let me tell you something. I moved out at the age of 17. I was actually kicked out, but whatever. I have never bought a television for myself. I've had people give me a few TVs, but honestly, one of the best things that's happened to me is not having fucking television to piss away every single night of my life. Yeah, I've spent most of my life hanging out with real people or reading books or watching movies. Occasionally there is a really good TV series that, you know, something like Breaking Bad, that's well worth watching. Break off the damn TV. It's like one of the good things about this generation, I think, with Netflix, where you can get it whenever you want it. You're not beholden. It's almost like a Pavlovian response. When you can only watch Simpsons at 8:30 p.m., you know, you would better be in front of the TV in time to watch Simpsons if you're going to watch it. But now that, like, I'm only on episode 2 of Stranger Things, season 2. And I've known it's been on there for some. I can watch it whenever the hell I want. Yeah, I'm just. I'll get around to it when I feel like it.
The releasing it as a season, it's almost like it used to be like if you watched a show and your buddy watched a show, you know, the next night you'd be like, "Oh, did you catch that show last night? Oh yeah, it was great." But now it's almost like a book in that you go up to your buddy and you're like, "How far are you?" You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because they release it as this season chunk. Yeah, if you want to binge it in one chunk and you got the time, you can. If you want to watch it, hell, you could sit down and watch Stranger Things every Wednesday at 8 like it was a normal TV show if you wanted to. I mean, it's on your schedule. And yeah, there's something to that. And also the big thing with the cable though is, look, if you like watching TV, I'm not going to judge you for that. I used to love it back when it was worth watching. And I wish it would be worth watching again. But the problem is, when I'm paying my cable bill, I'm supporting like ESPN and their Black Lives Matter horse shit. I'm supporting Comedy Central, which is Communist Central right now. All right. I don't want to support those channels. You know, I might keep my cable if I was allowed to only pay for the channels I watch. I'd have, you know, I mean, right now I live with my dad. Between the two of us, we'd probably have maybe 10 channels. And I'd pay even $5 a channel. But you're not allowed to do that. And you know what? Back in the day, I actually used to dislike the idea of the a la carte channel thing. Because back in the day, I used to think, well, the fact that all the channels come together allows you to have really oddball cool channels that you wouldn't get otherwise, right? That used to be my line of thinking. The problem with that is we don't have those oddball cool channels anymore. It's not like back in the day when you had like G4 and weird shit like that, you know? Like that's all gone now. So at this point, I would very much support changing the laws so that cable companies can just sell you channels. I mean, a lot of people would buy a handful of channels. I mean, shit, what would I get? I'd get CW, Fox, and yeah, that's like all I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, I guess Cartoon Network, because I like Adult Swim. There's 3. There's 3 out of 300 fucking channels I can think of off the top of my head that I would actually pay money for. I guess maybe Fox News. Maybe. Depends on how much a channel is. It's not worth it anymore, man. It's not worth it. You know, and it's such a shame. We should be living in a golden age of entertainment. I have 300 channels on my cable TV. Why is there not a fucking thing on?
Yeah, I wonder if it's just me getting older. But I'm increasingly aware of the tropes of entertainment. and more it becomes, why bother? You know, like, what am I going to get out of, like, what did I get out of watching Dracula 2000 10 years ago? Like, what did that movie add to my life?
Well, I don't think it's just that you're getting older. I think it's genuinely getting worse across the board. I really do. Because see, I find myself longing for. There's times when I'm sitting around like, I wish there was something good on TV. You know, and every once in a while I stumble across shows that turned out to be good. I recently stumbled across that Parks and Recreation show that NBC used to have, and I binge watched it on Netflix. I think I watched the whole 7 years worth of it in like a couple of months. You know, and I didn't know that was on, and it was, amazingly enough, especially for a show on NBC, a show that involved government and civics, which wasn't completely left-wing and paused. There was an actually conservative, libertarian type character on there that wasn't portrayed negatively. That was actually a funny show. But by and large, so much of it's just shit. I don't know. I really just think it's just SJWs in Hollywood. It's just,
You know, it's a bit of both.
I mean, part of it,
you
you're
know,
getting
video
older
games.
and stuff's not going to impress you as much, you know, but at the same time, it shouldn't be this bad.
I'll tell you one of the things that drives me nuts with video games is that I really think this is an effect of the new graphics. Like, everything has to be a first-person shooter, and everything, like, when you make a first-person shooter, you have to render every little bit of detail in that frickin' environment. You don't have time to make a game anymore. And so, like, I was thinking the other day about what a great game Fallout 2 was, and how I would love to go play Fallout 2, which reminds me, I need to buy Wasteland 2 at some point. Yeah, I have about 3 games I'm playing right now. Ever since I started making money, I have more video games than I have time to play. But yeah, like, Fallout 2 was such a great game. Look, there's the Chrysalis Highwayman. You know that when you start that game, anytime you go to the world map, there's this really creepy music playing, this really ambient wasteland music, and you go and you manage to find the parts to fix that fucking car. And now you go like 10 times as fast when you're moving across the map, and you're working on a timeline the whole time. As soon as you get that car, you get the coolest. It's like, it's like the Doors might have written it. You get the coolest freaking music on the world map as soon as you get the Chrysalis Highwayman. God, I love that game. That is such a good game. And Fallout New Vegas was pretty damned close. Actually, I would say, Fallout New Vegas is it's like within 5% of being as good as Fallout 2, which is fucking amazing. But it's the only reason they made it that good is because they didn't have to make any new graphical assets. Not really. Everything was built for that abortion Fallout 3. Because there is such a focus on graphics now, the games suck.
Pretty much. It's sort of akin to, in movies when there's too much of a focus on visual effects and you end up with a Michael Bay exploding movie that has no fucking substance to it. I mean, that's basically the entire AAA industry. I mean, so much of the modern AAA industry is just soulless.
Hey, if you don't mind me plugging a game, I'm playing a game called Darkwood right now. I think it goes for about $20 or so, and it's it's pretty engaging. It's kind of like this creepy top-down survival horror crafting sort of a thing with a plot. And I'm how long have I played? 11 hours I've played, and I bought it a couple weeks ago. So that's what the gameplay looks like. Oh, I haven't seen that scene yet. It's really morally ambiguous too. Like, you got all these villagers that freak out if you come close to them, and then they'll assault you. But at the same time, it's like, I want to know what the hell you're hiding, and you guys won't even talk to me? Fuck it, you're dead. I'm not sure if I'm evil or not.
I think a perfect example of the failure of the AAA gaming industry is, a few months ago, Sonic Mania came out. What was that? That was a fan who got a chance to make a game for Sega and decided to make a Sonic game that celebrated all the classic Genesis-era Sonic games back when people liked Sonic. And now you have Sonic Forces coming out, which is Team Sonic farting out another horrifyingly bad 3D Sonic game complete with your own DeviantArt OC, and everyone's shitting on it. The actual professionals in charge of that franchise can't make something as good as a fan they allowed to make a game.
You were talking in your Indiana Jones Mario video about how that game was just so chock full of secrets, how it's just so pregnant with possibility. And I know exactly what you mean. Mario 3 everything was just so rich in the game. You want to explore the levels for the sake of exploring the levels. I still want to explore the levels, And
yeah, after
nowadays,
I beat that game, I used to still play it with the Game Genie code where you could have unlimited flying and you were invincible and stuff, just so I could just try and find what other hidden shit was in there.
Do you remember the first time you got to Bowser and you were so nervous you were shaking?
Oh yeah, that game's so good.
Whereas in Far Cry 3, you buy a map that shows you where all the hidden items are. So why am I collecting these damn things?
Oh yeah, the 16-bit remakes on the that's another thing. A generation later on the Super Nintendo, they put out that Mario All-Star, and they actually made 16-bit remakes of Mario 1 through 3 where they didn't change a thing about the gameplay. Nowadays, they would feel the need to tweak the shit out of the gameplay to the point where nobody would like it.
Do you know what I really loved about that? They even kept all the bugs in.
Yes. They only updated the graphics.
How much work must that take? That is phenomenal that they kept the bugs in. That's showing some love and attention,
Well, there's a reason. I mean, if it weren't for Nintendo, I probably wouldn't even get video games anymore. I mean, and there's plenty of stuff Nintendo does I don't like, and there's plenty of stuff outside of Nintendo that I think's awesome. I'm not saying that. It's just more than so many of the other game makers, it feels like Nintendo makes games. Whereas Sony and Microsoft in particular are selling me graphics and hype and ultimately disappointment.
They're selling you Skinner boxes.
Yeah. Whereas Nintendo's like, hey, you want to play some Mario? Well, here's some Mario. Thank you, Nintendo.
Yeah, I heard this. They were talking on the radio the other day about how Grey's Anatomy is entering season 20 or whatever the hell it is. And I remember I watched about a season of Grey's Anatomy at one point because I was really into House at the time. When I realized, holy shit, this is a soap opera. This is completely pointless. There's no reason to watch this or not watch this. I don't remember anything that's happened, and none of it's going to change my life. Soap operas are the equivalent of Skinner boxes for the emotions. And so many of these damn TV shows are nothing but Grey's Anatomy.
I didn't even know that shit was still on.
Apparently it is. Apparently the lead actress, when she gets tired of it, that's when they'll shut it down. And I guess the big story is that they're introducing 4 new characters that are the same characters basically as the 4 original friends of hers, and Jesus, who gives a shit?
It's such a shame. Like I said, with this kind of technology and what we have out there, we should have an absolute golden age of art and entertainment.
On the plus side, World War III is coming soon, so that'll give us some new inspiration for good art and entertainment.
Yeah, maybe. And I mean, there is some stuff out there worth checking out. There's good stuff being made. It's just, you know, like I said, how is it I can only think of 3 channels I'd bother to pay for when there's 300 channels? You know what I mean? I remember back when I was a kid and we hadn't even gotten cable yet, and there only were 3 channels, and I thought that sucked. And now I've come full circle to where there's only 3 I'd bother to pay for. That'll be one possible good thing that will come from Hollywood collapsing, is maybe when some of these monopolies in entertainment collapse. I mean, with the technology out there, you know, it is pretty easy for people to do what used to truly take professionals with, you know, $1 million budgets to do. So who knows, you know?
I guess part of the problem is that we are having, as it gets easier and easier to make entertainment, there's more and more available. And so the blockbusters need to attract a larger and larger audience. And so there's this desperation to appeal to absolutely everybody, which results in this generic milquetoast, dumbed down type of thing. There's a lot less experimentation, a lot more formulas.
That's what kills it in the video game industry right now. As Razor Fist has said, there's no AA portion of the industry. There's little pissant indie guys, and there's big bloated AAA guys. But there's no mid-grade guys, you know? There's no guys that have a decent budget, but they're not spending $500 million, so they have to sell all the copies ever. I mean, people keep wondering why every AAA game basically devolves into Call of Madden. Well, that's why. Because they have to sell Call of Duty and Madden numbers. Because they spent the GDP of a small nation making this game.
And even the indie games, they often they don't get finished. Or they're constantly in beta. Now, I'm having a lot of fun with Subnautica, but you know, it's consistently in beta version at the same time.
Somebody in the chat just said George Takei is being accused of sexual misconduct, accused of drugging a guy and raping him.
Oh, interesting.
That somehow that doesn't seem surprising. I think I actually responded to a Facebook post of his the other day where he's whining about gun control or some shit. And it's like, first of all, I don't want to hear it. You are famous for being the most forgettable part of a show that was on 50 years ago, so shut up. But also, your entire industry is made up of rapists and whores, and you want to lecture me morally. Oh, well. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here soon. Anybody got any closing thoughts? Davis, Luke, any closing thoughts?
Sorry about that.
We was Kings. Looks like you'll. I mean, we was Kings crowds go like Black Panther.
You know,
they probably won't.
Yeah, that's the thing. Look, I don't have anything against Black Panther as a character or concept, and I actually think the idea of a very advanced civilization hidden amongst a bunch of very primitive ones is kind of an interesting idea. Oh, and interestingly enough, DC Comics also has a very advanced civilization in Africa. It's just a city made of hyper-intelligent gorillas. I will leave it to the viewer to decide which is more far-fetched. But anyways, I don't have anything against Black Panther. That said, though, let's be realistic. Black Panther is not going to do that well at the movie theater. It's going to do okay. It's going to make some money. because Avengers is a very recognizable brand right now. But I'm going to call it right now. It's going to be lucky to do Ant-Man money.
You know what? Black Lives Matters is not going to go see it. And because Black Lives Matters is so vitriolic, it's actually going to do... White people are going to be less inclined to see this movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm a big old Marvel nerd, and I'm not that inclined to see it just because I'm so annoyed with this We Was Kangs bullshit lately that I almost don't want to. So I'm now less inclined to see it, where it used to be, oh, Marvel Studios movie? I'm there, dude. I mean, you didn't even have to tell me what the hell it was. You could just say, new Marvel Studios movie. I'd be like, all right, sign me up.
There's definitely something new coming. You know, like the conservatives think that this whole Trump thing is just a little blip on the radar, then they can get back to cucking full time. No, things have changed. They really have. And what's coming is going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be predictable. I would strongly recommend that, guys, like, you get your affairs in order. You know, like, get your car, if you drive an older car like I do, get her all fixed up. Make sure she has a full tank of gas most of the time. Make sure you have some silver laying around. Definitely buy some pistols, some knives. So have some food stocked up. You know, just buy an extra can of beans when you're grocery shopping. And just a buck here, a buck there. We're entering a time of turmoil.
There is an old curse that says, may you live in interesting times.
Oh, and times are definitely getting interesting.
Yep.
And this, again, this 5 years ago, I would have loved a movie with a positive depiction of black masculinity in it. These days, it's like, yeah, you know, like, fuck. And I have black friends. There's no animosity. I genuinely like black people, but it's yeah, no, I'm. That's too much like the Black Panther Party. That's get the fuck out of here.
I think that character actually predates the Black Panther Party. Interestingly enough,
that's sad. It's sad that his name got taken by the Black Panther Party.
It kind of sucks. And again,
I'm not blaming the character for any of this. It's probably a fine film. It's just that the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking about this.
Yeah, that's exactly where I am. Like, I don't have anything against Black Panther. I don't mind that there's a Black Panther movie, and I'll probably at least see it when it's on DVD. But I just find I'm a lot less inclined to see it because of a lot of the bullshit going around that has nothing to do with the actual character.
It's like Louis C.K. releasing a movie called I Love You, Daddy.
It sounds like
should be unrelated. Well, except that it's all about the exact same topic.
All right.
I'll be honest, man. I hope that we get one of these hemorrhaging plagues. Because, once again, I think the hemorrhaging plague is the least painful option for getting rid of all these damn liberals. I'm not worried about it.
I can't really argue with you.
I'm not worried about it. I don't leave the house because most people are assholes, and I don't want to talk to them anyway.
You know what's a really good example of what's kind of, and it's not even fair to the movie. It's not fair to the character. But what sort of soured me on going to see Black Panther is the amount of bullshit SJWs involved, like that are pimping it and all. And I actually saw an article where somebody said this is the first solo black Marvel character to get a movie. Now,
so
they didn't say Marvel Studios. They said solo black Marvel character. Now, anybody who is actually a fan of comic books and a fan of comic book movies would tell you that the actual first Marvel movie that was ever produced that had any kind of critical and commercial success was Blade.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So they don't even know what they're fucking talking about when they're trying to tell. It's kind of like that black actress in the shitty new Star Trek where she was like, finally, Star Trek has a black lead. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Jesus Christ.
Are you fucking kidding me with this shit?
Benjamin Sisko is my favorite captain. Him and Picard are like, that's like the two halves of my personality. That's the id and ego of my personality are Picard and...
Star Trek's had black main characters since the 60s, and it's had a black lead since 1992 or whatever the hell that show came out, 1993 or something like that. And you're going to sit here and act like, finally. Like SJW's Think History started 6 months ago.
Yeah, isn't that the infuriating thing? And not just the SJWs. The same damn thing goes for the majority of the young men in the alt-right. They have absolutely no culture or history or anything.
History begins when they were born.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess like we're all, you know, yeah, to a certain degree, we're all guilty of that. But you know what? I've watched Fritz the Cat, and I loved Fritz the Cat. Yeah, I've read Bukowski and enjoyed Bukowski immensely. You know, I know who Hunter S. Thompson. I understand that Transmetropolitan is not an original character, for crying out loud. I know who it's based on.
Like I said, it's just
God damn it! I need to be doing that. Give me another month and a half. Not visiting Vatican City for no reason.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I think this was a good stream. Davis, I want to thank you for hopping on.
Oh, hey, thanks for having me, brother. I'm sorry I was so sober.
It's fine. Luke, as always, thanks for your sidekick duties.
No problem.
And I can't stress it enough, people. If you haven't checked out my VidMe channel, check it out because there's really great videos there.
There is. I was watching them I was watching a bunch of them the other night. There's good videos.
The animation there, Luke does for them is amazing. They're just they're top quality stuff. I'm considerably more proud of them than I am of this channel, where I just get on here and ramble on for an hour or so. But do check them out. Also, down below, you'll see the sponsor, Aaron Clary Books. You'll also see PayPal and Patreon, where if you appreciate what I do, you can support me. And I look forward to the day as my Patreon rises and his falls, where I make more than Spoonie, just so I can laugh at him. It's not even about the money. It's about sending a message, to quote the Joker.
By the way, when he said that, one of the gangsters was tied up and gagged on top of the pile of money.
Yes. It's not about the money.
Although you didn't hear him scream, though.
Well, eventually the gag burns off. But yeah, oh yeah. So Patreon, PayPal, check them out. Sponsor, check them out. Aaron Clary Books. VidMe channel, check it out. I'm also on the Gab. You can follow me there. I'm on the Facebook. You follow me there. The Bechtloff on both spots. And I want to thank you all for listening, folks. That's all we got for tonight. Bechtloff out.